Hello and welcome to another edition of National Focus. I'm Kimani Saint-Jean. In the headlines, UNICEF predicts dire consequences if MDG number 4 is not reached. Dominica represented at inter-regional meeting in Barbados, and government embark on a national solar street lighting project. Details of these and other stories after the break.
Hey, I had a good time in town last week with a pretty girl, man.
Hey, carry me next time when you're going now.
When we get paid Friday, we gonna go.
Careful, she might catch AIDS.
AIDS? Them girl pretty. Them girl can't get AIDS,
I
man.
think it's only ugly women have AIDS. Anybody could get it. If you get sick, what you gonna tell your wife?
Hey, your wife, come in.
Hey, change the topic. Change the topic.
Your family depends on you. Don't take home AIDS.
Do you have uncovered water storage drums around your home? Do you dispose of old tires, cans and old containers capable of holding water anywhere in your environment? Are you being bitten by mosquitoes, particularly at dusk and early morning? Do you keep houseplants in water? Do you spend your hard-earned cash to control mosquitoes? Has your community experienced dengue fever outbreaks? If your answer is yes to at least 3 questions above, you are at risk to dengue fever. Join the fight against dengue fever. The responsibility for a dengue-free Dominica lies with you. So, get rid of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
Thank you for staying with us. The government of Dominica has embarked on a national street lighting project as a means of enhancing security and safety on the island's road. The project will involve the installation of 4,851 solar streetlights across the country at an estimated cost of $34 million. Minister for Public Works, Honorable Raymond Blackmore, says government has secured assistance from the People's Republic of China in the procurement and installation of the solar lights. The People's Republic of China has agreed to provide government with 2,500 of these lights.
The Prime Minister has been able to use his good self and his good office to seek funding and technical assistance from a friendly country. We are in the process of launching a comprehensive national street lighting project that will seek to bring solar lights to all our main streets or main roads in this country, including urban areas. And we're talking about 4,851 street lights, and these are solar lights that we're going to embark on in due time. And the project life will be about 33 months.
Minister Blackmore told GIS News that the project will be executed in separate phases.
What we intend to do is to, first of all, address our main roads. And then we're going to, the first phase, we're going to install 2,500 street lights, solar lights. And that in itself will significantly increase in the security and safety of our roads for pedestrians and persons who conduct the vehicular traffic.
Minister Blackmore said 44 of these solar LED lights will be installed on the Canefield Cliff. He said preparatory work has already been done and that component of the project will be completed within 1 month.
The road under the cliff has been significantly improved. But those of us who drive there during the night time, especially when it rains, it's a very eerie sight, so to speak. And if someone were to become distressed by way of a flat tire or some breakdown in the vehicle, it can be a very scary experience to pull over in the darkness. And I think that in itself is a good move on the part of this administration. And you may have seen that we have actually started that process under the cliff. And from the Police Coast Guard, and as it travels to a northbound direction to the cove, where we are actually are currently doing the infrastructural work for installation of 44 street lights. That is LEDs.
The National Solar Street Light Project complements government's ongoing efforts at improving the island's road network. The plan of the DLP administration is to have the island's road network in excellent condition by the year 2020. News from the United Nations Children's Emergency Fund reveals that Millennium Goal number 4 may not be reached if current global tendencies continue. The fourth goal agreed upon by the 193 member states of the United Nations to reduce by 2/3 the under-5 mortality rate may not be reached until 2028. According to UNICEF, this means that as many as 35 million more children could die from preventable diseases between 2015 and 2028 if the trend of inaction persists. This data emanates from a recent report which also indicates good news that improvements in child survival is in fact possible. UNICEF statistics are showing that the annual number of under-5 deaths dropped to 6.6 million in 2012. That figure was double in 1990. Since then, over 90 million infant lives have been saved. An average of 72% decline is being reported by Bangladesh, Brazil, and Ethiopia in efforts to protect children under 5 from dying of preventable diseases. Meanwhile, West and Central Africa is showing little to no improvements in infant mortality rates, with almost 1 in every 8 children dying before 5. Anthony Lake, Executive Director of UNICEF, stated, quote, "Yes, we should celebrate the progress, but how can we celebrate when there is so much more work to do before we reach the goal? We need to act with a renewed sense of urgency." End of quote. Dominica's Environmental Minister, Honorable Dr. Kenneth Daru, recently returned from Bridgetown, Barbados, where he attended an interregional preparatory meeting to discuss preparations for the 3rd United Nations Conference on Small Island Developing States to be held in Apia, Samoa from September 1 to 4, 2014. Honorable Daru joined United Nations officials and other government representatives from countries and territories on the 3 Small Island Developing States region. They agreed on the positions and priorities for the sustainable development of seeds that will further guide preparations, setting an agenda and policy recommendations for the 2014 conference. In an interview with GIS News on Friday, Minister Daru said, "It was important that Dominica was represented at the meeting, as Dominica shares many of the challenges faced by other small island developing states in the Caribbean and other regions around the world."
Each of the different islands, grouping of islands, brought the different issues and concerns to the table. We all know the special vulnerability of small island developing states, the fact that they're low-lying, susceptible to natural disasters, low fragile economies. All of these issues were brought to the table, and of course trying to thrash out a common document to take forward to the UN conference next year.
Speaking on the outcome of the meeting, Honorable Daru said issues pertaining to combating climate change and how it affects small island developing states received attention at the Barbados meeting.
In the Caribbean region, of course, because of our geographical location, and every year where we have the official hurricane season, and of course we all know the tremendous amount of monies that government spend in reparation work after the storms. Funds that were otherwise carried for new developments have to be rediverted. The issue of the global financial crisis and how it's affecting small island developing states. Other issues such as trade and how we need an equal or equity on the world trade market. Or the issues as debt and financing. Of course, the one voice was that, hey, by now we all know as small island developing states what our concerns are, we know what are our challenges. and we need help in confronting these challenges.
Honorable Darrow told GIS News that it is important that Dominica remains engaged with the UN and other island territories and countries on finding solutions to overcome challenges faced by small island developing states to ensure the sustainable development of our islands. In other news, 11 journalists currently attached to the United Nations Reham Al-Farah Memorial Journalist Fellowship got the opportunity to meet with the Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, on Tuesday. In a closed meeting in his office at UN headquarters in New York, Mr. Ban hosted an informal roundtable discussion with journalists. The UN head responded to the issue of dealing with climate change and global warming.
The member states have agreed to adopt the legally binding agreement by 2015 and allow 5 more years until 2020 so that member states will ratify this treaty. We are working very hard again, but we need more political will. That is why next year I'm going to invite the leaders of all the leaders of the world to the United Nations in September to a climate change summit meeting. I expect that all the leaders from your country, respective country, will participate and give their political vision and directions to negotiators so that they will make a speedy negotiation.
Mr. Ban was asked what world leaders should do to protect the environment from further destruction. He says it is a moral obligation.
This is moral responsibility of the world leaders at this time. Some people say that it may be too late, but I don't think it is too late. If we take proper and ambitious action now, we can keep this planet Earth environmentally sustainable and hospitable for our succeeding generation.
The United Nations leaders spoke on a number of subjects, including the lamentable humanitarian situation in Syria, the need for tolerance in society, and the importance of working together for a peaceful and sustainable environment. The Secretary General placed a significant emphasis on post-2015, which will mark the upgrade of the Millennium Development Goals to Sustainable Development Goals. He told the 11 journalists to remain unbiased and fair in the execution of their duties, and in a summary of the discussion, Mr. Ban stated, quote, "We must ask ourselves, what kind of world do we want?" End of quote. This represented his desire for the global citizens to think long-term about social and environmental issues. Countries represented at the 2013 Reham Al-Farah Memorial Journalist Fellowship are Djibouti, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, Poland, Nicaragua, Paraguay, Afghanistan, Azerbaijan, Iraq, and Grenada. Dominica is represented by GIS's Jana Hector. And that's the English segment of the news. McPherson St. Luce is up next with Creole Highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non, moi, c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, les partis dominicains tiennent une delegates conference et puis awards ceremony dimanche le 15 septembre à la pointe qui a commencé à 11h bon matin. 31 personnes qui ont supporté le parti là pour longtemps, qui ont appelé recognition pour supporter le parti là. Officier gouvernement en parmi Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, Honorable Ambrose George et Honorable Reginald Austrie qui ont délivré l'adresse en cérémonie. 3 officiers de l'autre pays en parmi chef Antigua Party Gaston Brown qui ont aussi délivré l'adresse. Conférence là qui est expectée pour passer résolution exécutive à présent rester en place. Alors, nouvelle, messieurs, mesdames, nous avons comme ministère environ Honorable Dr. Kenneth Darrow, le chef en délégation Dominique qui était attendu en grand meeting SIDS qui était pris en place à Babad, check qui passé. Sinon, Dr. Darou, gros meeting ça là, c'était pour préparer un gros meeting développement sustainable qui pour prendre place en Samoa l'année prochaine.
Des semaines passées, moi et ambassadeur UN Dominica, ambassadeur Vincent Anderson, nous attendions à conférence à Babad. Et sa conférence, c'était une conférence pour nous créer Interregional Seeds Conference. Et l'année prochaine, 2014, c'est 2014, nous ne pouvons pas attendre une go-conference UN, ça nous a créé un third conference on Small Island Developing States, ça c'est en Samoa, l'année prochaine. So nous savons que grouping seeds, ça c'est Small Island Developing States. Nous avons divisé en 3 groupes, ça c'est Caribbean Group, nous avons Pacific Group, et nous avons l'autre groupe, nous avons African, Indian, Mediterranean, et South China Sea Group. So ces différents groupes, ça a meeting avant, 2-3 meetings avant, et le meeting à Babad là, c'était un meeting là, tous ces différents groupes ça viennent ensemble pour nous mettre tout ça nous discuter un meeting avant, mener ensemble pour nous voir si nous avons décidé sur un document pour changer à un meeting à Samoa l'année prochaine. Now, of course, I'm meeting ça là, toutes ces challenges là qui ces seeds qu'a fait tous les jours, yo mener à la table là. Et on s'est parlé contre challenges comme climate change, comme change climatique, et issue challenge comme renewable energy, et sustainable development, green economies, governance à la mer. Et comme j'ai parlé contre dette, avec comment tous ces petits pays ça qui économie pas dire fort, comment nous survive under global financial crisis qui a affecté whole lot avec plus nous.
En la nouvelle, le gouvernement Dominique tient un commitment pour qualité éducation pour étudiants Dominique. Parole celle-là sur le ministère de l'Éducation, Honorable Peter Saint-Jean.
Jour du jour, nous avons mis en lot attention à la qualité éducation, plus grande éducation. Ça, c'est la monde qui aller en collège et université. Et nous, comme gouvernement, nous avons Dominicain commitment là qui nous mettons l'argent là en place, nous mettons ces mises en place pour adresser problèmes éduquer moun en Dominique, pas simplement à l'école secondaire et aussi collège DSC, mais aussi pour yo trouver l'argent et faciliter pour yo éduquer en université l'autre pays.
Et puis finalement, messieurs, mesdames, conseil Kalinago qui a gardé devant, nous croyons que ça a changé pour Kalinago. Parole ça là, sorti du Parlement, Honorable Ashton Grano.
Kalinago Council fait un request pour le gouvernement pour changer nom carré pour Kalinago. Nous avons discuté ça en cabinet, mais ça, il y a dit nous, ça, nom légal qu'a dit nous en cabinet, c'est ça. Nous avons besoin d'un bagage légal pour changer, parce que même si vous voulez changer nom, c'est pour garder comment légalité là est, parce qu'il y a un nom carré tout partout, tout livre, tout statut, tout bagage légal Dominique. So pour tirer, pour ça tirer vrai, mais on est pour tirer légal, on est pour taper bagage loi là pour comment on cadre, nous mener en parlement. So nous pas ça va connaître, nous pas parler pour à présent pour mener en parlement. Mais tout de suite moi croire qu'on nous continue à garder comment bagage là travail, comment il marcher. Ministry of Legal Affairs qui advise nous comment nous pouvons aller avec qui il parle pour nous, là il parle pour nous ça mener en parlement.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelles en créole pour à présent. Non moins, c'est McPherson Luce. Ni bon week-end. Au revoir.
Coming up next, a tip on the positive effects of music.
Do you have uncovered water storage drums around your home? Do you dispose of old tires, cans, and old containers capable of holding water anywhere in your environment? Are you being bitten by mosquitoes, particularly at dusk and early morning? Do you keep houseplants in water? Do you spend your hard-earned cash to control mosquitoes? Has your community experienced dengue fever outbreaks? If your answer is yes to at least 3 questions above, you are at risk to dengue fever. Join the fight against dengue fever. the responsibility for a dengue-free Dominica lies with you. So, get rid of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
Many people say music is life. Music certainly has many positive effects on the listener. It can enhance a person's task performance since it can change moods and give more motivation. Studies show that music does not automatically increase positive attitude, for it will ultimately depend on the manner by which the music is played. It may, however, reduce the strain of an activity. As a general rule, it is important that the listener plays music he or she is familiar and comfortable with in a volume that is not too loud so as not to distract the listener. So listen to some good positive music to improve your mood. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Friend us on our Facebook page and be sure to like our GIS Dominica fan page. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm Kimani. Thank you for watching and have a great weekend.